Hello and welcome to this week's reading vlog. I read a total of this many books. Let's take a look at what I read.
Gonna have a little nap in there. Oh, you beautiful girl.
So I just finished reading Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I don't know how to pronounce her surname. It is in 4 parts. You have mind, heart, rest and awake. So in this book, she delves into racism, sexism, depression, family, friendship, self-love, productivity, rest, illness, oppression. It also delves into very heavy topic of the sexual assault of very, very young children. I'm assuming she speaks from experience, so those poems were quite hard to read, but I appreciate her vulnerability and openness and her voice in this book. I absolutely loved it. The illustrations were also wonderful. I resonated with it a lot, and this has definitely become one of my all-time favorite books of poetry, and Rupi possibly my favorite poet yet. Hello, so I just finished reading, hello darling, 2 middle grade children's graphic novels. There was Princeless and Cece's Journal. So I'll talk about them in my kids corner segment. I'm doing just one more kids corner segment and then I'm not going to do that segment anymore. I'll just talk about any middle grade books I read in here. Hello baby, give me kisses, give me kisses. And then I started reading Renegades. So Renegades is a book that was very reminiscent of this TV show Heroes. And by that I mean it's about these like teenagers, young adults, and they've got powers, they've got superhero powers. And some of them are the good guys and some of them have been cast as the villains. And it's sort of following one of the villains' backstories of how she came to be the way she was and why she the anarchist side rather than the renegades. And it opens up with like a very brutal scene, and then it goes on to like a parade, a renegades parade where they're celebrating the, you know, good heroes. For me, this was a bit too basic. It was derivative. It just reminded me of every single sort of superhero book I've read before, but not as good. Like I said, it was very like Heroes, the TV show. It was trying to be like violent, but it just came across as too comical. Like it felt young and I couldn't take it seriously. There was nothing like really exciting. There was no twist, like at least with Vicious by V.E. Schwab. One sec, hello. That had like an angle that was interesting, whereas this one I didn't really care for the main character, even though she like had a tragic backstory. I didn't really connect to her. And the romance, I can tell it's coming a mile away. I was like, I'm not into it. Everyone just felt really farcical, and I decided to put it down. I'm going to have a look. I have a feeling it's probably YA, because it just was, yeah, it was a little young. So I've put Renegade down. I'm about to film my poll video. I thought I'd actually give you the blurbs of all the books that I'm putting up in my polls for April's Wild Ones book club, so that you know what you're voting for and you don't have to go and look it up yourself. But besides that, I'm still trying to get the cats to all like each other. We've had a successful meet and greet. I did after 6 days, bring her out to meet all the cats. She's met Nova. Nova loves her. Nova's like a big mama cat, and she's so gentle, and she doesn't even flinch when the kitten hisses at her. She's just like, it's cool, man, like it ain't nothing but a thing. But unfortunately, Willow and Sylvie have still not warmed up. So there was a lot of hissing, but I just had a lot of new toys to keep them distracted. So anytime they try to like lock onto the kitten, I distracted them with the toys. I gave them treats. I tried to make it a really positive experience. Blue's really amazing. She's very respectful. So anytime, she's just curious, she would try to go up to the cats. As soon as they hissed at her, she would just sit down and like do little slow blinks and make herself very unthreatening. So she's amazing. It's just the other cats have got to get used to her. So I'm just having more moments where I'm bringing her out and trying to play with the other cats and reassure them, because I would love to eventually not have to lock Blue up in the room and have to keep swapping between her room and the other cat's room, the other cats. It's a bit exhausting, but I know it's a process and you got to just take it as at the cat's pace. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not reading a hell of a lot because I'm so focused on cat play and cat time at the moment. But I think I'm not sure what I'm going to pick up next to read, to be honest. I'm just going to see what I've got on my want to read list on Goodreads and pick one of those, and hopefully it's a good one, because I would like to get engrossed in the story at the moment.
I'm gonna have a little nap in there. Oh, you beautiful girl.
Hello, so I just finished reading The Do-Over. Well, I actually listened to an audiobook, and I must say I have a thing where there's Blue and Sylvie. Things are better, as you can see. There's no attacking. Sylvie just gets annoyed at her quite a bit, but I can actually have Blue roaming around the house as long as I'm home to supervise them. Willow's still a little not cool with Blue, but I'm always around, so besides a bit of hissing and swatting, nothing else has happened, and Blue's just happy to be running around. She did not want to be in my room anymore, let me tell you. Hey, darling, you want to say hello? Come here. Come say hello. Come say hello. Here's little Bluebell Sunday. She's such a darling. I love her so much. She's so sweet. She's losing her little kitten teeth at the moment, so she has a bit of a snaggletooth situation. So as I was saying with audiobooks, I really prefer when they have multiple narrators, because when a woman tries to do a male voice, most of the time it just comes off hella douchey. Hey baby, I really like you. And I struggle not to laugh. I can't take it seriously. So that was an issue with this audiobook, and I think in the future I'm just not going to listen to anything that has a female narrator doing a really poor impersonation of a male voice and vice versa. I just find it too comical and I can't take the book seriously. But The Do-Over, it's a story about teenage love in which a girl has a Groundhog Day moment of constantly reliving a very awful Valentine's Day. And she sort of is in a relationship, but then she sort of gets into another one. So for me, I gave it 3 stars. And the reason that it got 3 stars is because I didn't like the dude. The dude was just too aloof and distant and cold. And it was sort of like, hey, it's because I have a tragic backstory, which I feel for him. Everyone has trauma. Everyone has a hard time dealing. But there were certain things that he did that were just too insensitive. And I felt like, forget him, man. Like, let him deal with his stuff and maybe you can try again in the future. But for now, that's just really not okay how he treated you after these certain events happened. So I was not rooting for that guy. And I was really hoping for a second there. I thought this book was actually going to end differently and that she was just going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy my summer with my friends and myself and my newfound courageousness. And because she sort of went through her own transformation and learning to speak up and to be her authentic self. So I was actually really hoping that she was not going to end up with any of the guys and just be her awesome self. But yeah, no, it's a traditional rom-com. And so because of that, I was like, I don't really like it. I'm not advocating. I'm not supporting your choices, lady. So I gave it 3 stars. Besides that, this week has been full on with the cats, but like I said, progress has been made and I can let her go around the house without fearing for her life. So hopefully that will just get easier and easier as time goes on. I'm definitely not getting any more cats. That is done. Like I said, I think this one was a lot to do with my breakup and wanting to find someone to hopefully balance Sylvie out a little bit, because Sylvie was becoming very bored and kept trying to run away, and that was scaring the life out of me every time I had to open my door. So the kitten's definitely keeping her entertained, let me tell you. She's keeping everybody on their toes. So my house is absolute chaos right now. It is a pigsty. It smells like cat food and cat litter because it's just all over the house. So I'm hoping this weekend, once my kids go to their dad's on Monday, I'm going to do a big spring clean, a big declutter. I just watched a video on YouTube with my eldest daughter because she had a sore tummy this morning. So she came in for some cuddles and I said, let's just watch a YouTube video to take your mind off your tummy. So I watched one on decluttering because she's a Virgo and she loves to organize and declutter. So I'm like, let's both just get into the spirit and have a bit of a freshen up the energy of the house, move some things around, get rid of some stuff. And so that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. But that's it this week. Like I said, I did not have much time to read. I can't really read when there's a kitten that needs to be played with, and I had to spend so much time actively playing with all the cats and trying to enforce positive associations with the kitten. So I'm actually really looking forward to hopefully getting some more reading time next week. Okay, this book has taken a turn. So it started off with a lot of things about eating disorder. So the main character has an eating disorder, anorexia, and in the blurb it says like eating disorder is her religion. So she's very heavily into it. That was fine. The issue that I'm having is it seems she has a mummy kink. Now, I'm not into daddy kinks. I am even less so into mummy kinks. Let me just read you this little bit here. Then she let her tits dangle over my face. I suckled on each one thinking, feed me, mummy, so that I may live. I'm sorry, I don't want to kink shame anybody, but it's not my thing. This is not my thing. And I'm trying not to laugh. But yeah, look, I'm going to read a little bit more just because I've got a cat on me right now and I can't move. So I'm going to read it out of circumstance. But man, yeah, not my tea, to be honest. So I'm about halfway through. I'm still stuck here. Little kitty is still on my lap. So we just read a scene where the main chick, I don't even remember her name. So we just read a scene where Rachel was at the gym on an exercise bike. And while she's on the bike, she was commenting on how the bike seat looked like a penis. And she then called it her Franken cock or her bike seat dick. And then she decided to fantasize about having sex with one of her co-workers using her appendage and ended up orgasming in the gym while on the exercise bike. So this book is quite full on. I find with Melissa Broder's writing that I really like her writing. It's very easy to consume. It's addictive. I want to keep going. But her books always have very uncomfortable elements for me. And it's more of the thing that there's a kink and I'm not into that kink and therefore I can't relate. And I become more of an observer rather than getting into the book. I'm a bit like, what is happening here? I remember with the Pisces, there was a scene where a dude ate out a woman while she was menstruating. Wasn't for me. And same here with the mummy kink. It's not for me. But I'm enjoying the read, even though there's a lot of scenes where a bit, okay, not my tea. This book is a lot about eating disorders and toxic relationships with mothers and religion and sapphic relationships and a whole smorgasbord of things. So even though it's not fantastical like the Pisces was, I'm still interested. Yeah, I just like Melissa Broder's writing. Even when she puts a lot of things in her books that make me uncomfortable to read about, it's still not enough of a deterrent. I just find her writing, I just still want to read. I still want to read it. So this is a weird book. This is really weird. I definitely know now 150 million% I don't have a mummy kink whatsoever. So I thought the daddy kink was like, not for me, but even more the mummy kink, I think because I am a mother myself. So I'm just like, no, not for me. But if it's her thing, it's her thing. Little Blue sleeping in the corner. So I just finished a milk fed, the giant booby on the cover. What am I going to rate it? 3 stars. Like I said, I like the writing, but the story isn't for me. The characters aren't for me. The sex in this book is not for me in the kinks that were associated with it. So yeah, I really like her writing. Hey, Nova's still on me. But yeah, so I'm rating it 3 just for the writing. It just keeps me reading. I don't know what it is. I just keep reading, even though, yeah, like I said, the plot or lack thereof and the characters and everything else, not for me. But I still enjoyed it. It's a 3-star read, and it was a very fast read. So would I read any of her books in the future? Probably not. She does include a lot of elements in her books that sort of gross me out or make me uncomfortable. So I probably won't, but yeah, her writing style, I like it. For some reason it's just captivating, but the content, not so much. But without much further ado, I hope that you're having an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, and as always, stay wild, star child.